Bill, ready?
Just about.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Finance Committee of December 8th. Hey, John, there you are. How are you? With that, I will ask Janet to take a roll call.
I have Supervisor Syed, Councilwoman McGraw, Councilman Delarada, Councilman McPartlin, Councilwoman Jaquith, Comptroller Alam, Attorney Paul Briggs. I also have Laura Robertson, Stan Faminsky, Diane Percy, Bill Lawrence, Fran Wall, Michelle Martinelli, and Alexis Kim. Did I miss anyone?
Well, Matt Gatto is going to be a couple of minutes late in joining us.
Eric's here.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, how could you forget Eric? Okay. With that, do I have a motion to accept the minutes from the Finance Committee dated November 5th and the special Finance Committee from November 18th?
Motion to accept the minutes.
Anybody second?
I will second.
Thank you. With that, I'm going to ask Janet again to talk about the budgetary modifications. There are only a few.
Very briefly, Bill Lawrence has asked for $7,000 to move from a miscellaneous and contractual line to purchase replacement desktop computers. This is something he does every year at the end of the year. We're looking for $3,440 for additional legal services for Gervin and for Lazo, and I believe the bill is attached in your packets. And Matt Yetto has asked for a $13,000 modification from equipment capital outlay for water meters and miscellaneous items through year end, but we haven't determined the lines that we're going to transfer into yet. He and Kathy need to do a little bit of an analysis. The dollar amount won't change, just the lines that we're actually transferring into. We probably won't know till closer to the meeting. And that's all we have at this point.
Any questions about that? So next, I'm going to ask Alexis Kim to talk about the proposed changes to the PBA MOA for FMLA. They had made some revised changes to it. Alexis? Alexis, are you there? Okay, so I know she's here. Maybe she has muted herself. So we are going to come back to that. I will go to the next one. Number C is just an update on the health insurance consultant RFP. So last Friday, I sent the RFP to 3 consultants. One of them is Jaeger and Flynn. Second one is our current consultants, which are Marshall and Sterling. And the third one to, okay. The third one is USI One Advantage. So they used to be part of First Niagara and they are part of KeyBank. The responses are supposed to come back to me by the 28th of December. So we are hoping that we are going to get some more savings from there. And Alexis just texted that she's going to switch her computer.
So here's just to be clear, these are just for consultants for managing that health insurance work for us. Marshall and Sterling's been doing that for a while and other things, right?
Absolutely, right. So basically then we are asked them to bid again the health insurance, and then also we will ask them to come up with different suggestion and recommendation as far as our program is concerned.
Right.
So there could be changes to it.
And we haven't done this in a while, right? Ismat, this hasn't been done in some time.
Oh, Lordy, actually, I don't think that we ever did an RFI or RFP for Marshall and Sterling, or at least we couldn't find it. We found a resolution doing that. So
I think there was a less formal process, but there was definitely a process probably about 4 years ago when we had Marshall and Sterling. Then we had Benetech. and then we brought Marshall and Sterling, a different division of Marshall and Sterling, a different one of their offices back about 4 years ago in an attempt to offer a more robust plan at a greater savings.
Oh, you could see that there were a lot of savings in 2018. And I think that our rep from Marshall and Sterling is relatively new, so he couldn't find that.
Okay. That's
But
I believe that's the history of it, at least for the last dozen years.
Yeah,
I
I
would
saw it in
concur.
2018, there were savings. There were significant, 17, 18, there were significant savings.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and in 2018, I'm sure you will remember, that's when we went to self-funded plan, self-insured. So there were significant savings in 2018.
And
But that's again, why we're doing this again, we're hoping to find some additional savings, correct?
oh, absolutely. I mean, whenever you change the vendor, and the main thing is that they have to be, I'm asking them to be transparent about their commissions.
Commissions, right?
So that's one of the things, their fee and everything, even though they don't charge us, but it comes out of our account and all. I work with some of them, all three of them are really stellar consultants. So any one of them will be lucky to have, which I'm sure there'll be more people asking for it. The next one is, so just was just an FYI item. So whenever it comes, I will keep everybody in the loop. The second one is Alexis. The number D is for Alexis again. So one, she is, Alexis, can you hear us? Okay. I will wait for her. I will skip to item E, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute a contract with NILAF, which is the New Shock Liquid Asset Fund. And it's a housekeeping item. It is basically they are switching their account manager. So investment manager to PMA Investment, which is a great company. They have been working with NILAF for a long time. I know about them. So I think it's just it's a great way of going there. As you know that our interest earnings have been really low. So I'm hoping that they're trying to push towards it to get better interest rates and better investments. Alexis, I think that she said that are you there?
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh,
Thank you.
Sorry, yeah,
Okay.
I was having a problem with the microphone on my computer. So not to jump around, but to go back to B, that was with regards to the proposed changes to the MOA with the PBA that was approved by the town board last month. I actually had a conversation offline with Paul Briggs about this. I don't think it requires a resolution, but I wanted to bring you up to speed on the changes. Essentially, we had broken down the paid sick leave allowances that would be allocated to PBA members based on whether or not they were taking the leave to give birth to a child versus just to care for a child. After fleshing it out with the PBA attorneys, it just made sense to just give a flat allowance across the board of 4 weeks rather than try to anticipate how much paid sick leave a female PBA member would need to give birth to a child. So it's really just actually reducing the amount of leave that we had given in the first place down to 4 weeks. So just that's attached to this packet. If anybody has any questions, they can ask Paul Briggs or I. With respect to item D, authorization to pay for credit card transaction fees. I'm not sure if Matt Yetto is on this call yet, but this came up, I think during the November Public Works Committee meeting. For those of you who recall, back in the spring, Supervisor Syed had decided as part of her COVID-19 response efforts to assume the credit card transaction fees for for the spring water, for the water and sewer billing collection period. We had paid those, and we had, the understanding was that was only going to be a one-time thing. But I guess, and Supervisor Syed, feel free to jump in October or September, some emails crossed each other, and Supervisor Syed didn't sign the agreement, which canceled the assumption of fees until halfway through the October collection period. So, which is why we're then now have an invoice, because we assumed the fees. I can't say it's unknowingly, it was unintentionally. So I'm working with Cloud Invoice to see if they'll cut off a discount of about 10% They haven't really gotten back to me, but I can give a call back to our rep who we've been working with. So I guess this is coming. I think I'm not sure who paid for this. I'm not sure if it came from the receiver of taxes budget, if it came from which line it came from. But I guess we'd just be requesting an amount so that Matt Yetto could make this payment.
It originally did come from the receiver of taxes, and I think we've depleted her funds in paying for it the first time around. So I don't know that that money is there to pay for that. So I think that's going to be a discussion we're going to need to have.
Yeah, I might need a budget mod. So I'm hoping I can get it down to 4,600 because I mean, kind of when we were negotiating this in the first place, they had, when I say they, Invoice Cloud had said that they would reduce the transaction fee down from $3.75 to $3 if we were able to move about 20% of people who paid to pay online. And we did reach that threshold. So that's what I'm just working on now.
So Supervisor Syed, do you have money in your budget for this?
I may. We'll have to check and see. If not, we'll have to find it somewhere. It was my impression that the agreement that we had with Invoice Cloud was for a specific period of time, which would have been covered only by my executive order, because the executive order, understandably, at the sunset of the 30 days, you know, that executive order sunsets. So when we all came back to work full time, I was under the impression that that agreement was no longer going to be entertained, or that we'd be returning back to the way that we were processing invoices previously. So we'll figure out what we'll do about this. Hopefully we can get that number down.
Yes. And did you ever end up, Yasmin, did you sign the agreement? I mean, so it wasn't an agreement. Basically, it was just a acknowledgement that we were going to stop it, you know.
Yes. Yes. I did.
So we won't run into that issue again.
Right. Yep. So it's been changed back to what it was previously.
It's only supposed to be for a short period of time, because any other time we've used this method or allowed the residents to use this method as a method of payment, the fee's always been paid by the resident because it's a convenience for them. They can get points on their credit card and that sort of thing. But this seemed to go longer than you wanted it to, and now we've got a $5,700 bill that we owe for fees.
Essentially, yes. So when I signed my local declaration, local state of emergency declaration, those sunset after a period of 30 days unless they're extended. So there were several, and you remember that period of time that began in March when COVID first began. And this was one of the strategies that we took in concert with Chris Lachinsky, Matt Yetto, and Diane Piercy to avoid having to have residents present to the town hall to pay their utility bills. So instead, they could pay them online. We waived the fee. We absorbed the fee, and that was both to protect our employees and our residents. But again, that was done under the guise of a local state of emergency declaration. So I was under the impression that it would sunset at the conclusion of that state of emergency. As you know, during the summer, we all came back. There was a period of time that local states of emergency were not declared. We just recently declared another one again to close town hall to the general public. But again, that was not part of this most recent local state of emergency declaration. So wires got crossed, essentially miscommunication, and we will have to find that money somewhere.
And not that this is, I mean, I guess the silver lining is that 20%, we went from having about 6% of people pay online to about 25%. So I'm not sure if that has alleviated at all the work that Diane Percy's office has had to do. But obviously, yes, this was more of a cross-line email misunderstanding. I didn't get involved in it until after we received the bill itself, but it won't happen again unless we, consciously decide to.
And this is the end of it. This is the last one, right, Alexis?
Yeah, the billing period ended at October 31st. I don't think we were made aware of this invoice until our November Public Works Committee meeting.
Okay. We'll find the money somewhere, and then we will present a budget mod at the 22nd meeting. The next one is I'm going to ask Paul to talk about it. This is a resolution
But I'm
authorizing.
sorry, I'm sorry, Ismet. So you will need to go back to the committee. So if you find it somewhere, you need to go back to the committee because this actually wasn't done at the request. I heard Chris Lachinsky's name. This was not done at the request of the Public Works Department.
Oh,
No, it was not ever.
correct.
Sorry.
No,
Just gonna-
it was done. It was done as a courtesy for the receiver of taxes office. So
Right.
we've just got to get it figured out, but
Yeah.
we can't. So,
I got it. Okay,
okay, great. Thank you.
got it. Absolutely. Thank you. The next one is I'll ask Paul to talk about a retainer agreement with Elena.
Yes, I spoke to our former deputy town attorney today, and she's willing to fill in while Alexis is on leave. And I've talked to her about the duties that are involved, and she's ready to go.
Effective January 1, right?
Yes.
Okay. You wanted any other discussion about it?
Have we decided on a rate? I think there was,
$50 an hour.
okay. Thanks, Paul.
And one other item is it, Paul, are we able to make it effective maybe December 22nd, just in the event that we want to have a meeting with her or that my due date isn't pushed up? I just want to make sure that I can have like a transition time where I can, show her where all of the documents are, et cetera.
Sure.
Okay, good idea. G is a resolution appointing an ADA compliant officer. Yasmin, supervisor.
Yes, so I can't remember the last time that we appointed this individual. I think it was a number of years ago. But each municipality has to have an ADA compliance officer. That person was always the town comptroller. So just to keep with continuity, now that we have Ismat now as our comptroller, I would like to have her appointed the ADA compliance officer. And this is essentially just a housekeeping item.
And in connection with that, Supervisor Syed, that resolution from 2012 also had a accompanying procedure, and that needs to be updated as well to reflect changes to the ADA law that have been, subsequently enacted. So it is both a housekeeping and also just, making sure it's up to date with the law.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item H is actually a sort of a good news in regard to our 4% challenge for next year. So this is a resolution we are asking to appoint a workers' comp carrier for 2021. It is Comp Alliance. We have been working with them and the workers' comp, but they did not have the rate set when we were doing the budget. So after the budget was adopted, I asked them to negotiate very aggressively with the carriers. So we have a savings of $15,000 going into 2021. So that's a good sign. Thank God. So we are on the right path.
Excellent work. Excellent.
But the carriers hate us, but it's okay.
They can hate us. That's fine.
Just to be upfront, I think that's going to go towards controllers and supervisors 4% challenge. Just saying. The next one is I'm not 100% sure about it. I'm going to ask Alexis to talk about a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute a repayment agreement with Niskuna girls softball league in connection with the River Road Park improvement project. And I understand, Alexis, that we have to pay $45,000 upfront. So it's going to be like a loan, right? And they are going to pay us back.
Yeah, that's from what I understand. And I sent you an email last week. I know it was very long, just kind of going through kind of the terms that I think I would like your expertise on. But essentially, Laura Robertson, I think this was a joint effort in order to lower the costs associated with the River Road Park improvement project that our grant money didn't cover. Niskuna Girls Softball League said that they would pay us back over a period of 15 years for a $45,000 worth of improvement. Like I said, we need an agreement in place so that they can start repaying us. The terms that I thought maybe we can discuss offline, maybe sometime this week, is
Okay.
Since it's a 15-year agreement, do we want to charge inflation for the cost of money, or is it going to just be a straight installment agreement? Do we want to incentivize paying an early payback? If, say they pay us back in 5 years, maybe we don't account for inflation, etc. In return for this, they had asked for a license agreement to use the softball fields at Avon Crest Park for a nominal license fee, which is, I think we all agreed that was fine, but that doesn't come near to covering, we weren't going to charge them $45,000 to use the softball fields there. So it's a little bit more complicated, but yes, it's an incentive, essentially a loan repayment agreement.
Alexis, how did we come up with the 15 years? Because obviously that's a long time.
Yeah, I'm Laura Robertson. I'm not sure if she's on. I think she had said to them, and I'm not sure, like maybe they'll be willing to say 10 years, but I think that when they were having these conversations with Laura, they were under the impression they would have 15 years, which ends up being about what, $3,000.
Yeah, I think if we can accelerate that would be, better with some of those issues. And then to the Avon Crest issue, remember this came up way before this other issue came up about the additional funding for doing drainage on Field 1. I believe that this is the $45,000 for that they wanted to invest in. But I believe they were going to do a number of improvements at Avon Crest as well. So we want to make sure that the town benefits from, those improvements that they're spelled out for, our residents, et cetera. So I just wanted to remind you about those. And I know you want to handle that separately. Separately.
I agree.
But just emphasize if we could get the repayment to be a shorter period of time, I think that would be that would be better. They're encumbering folks that may, I can't imagine what happens if the organization, God forbid, you want to provide for that. What if that organization folds? Again, we want to make sure that we address those kind of ifs, and it would help to, make it a shorter repayment term, I think, for those reasons.
Right, absolutely. I do agree with that. We can loan the money to them, but we would like to get it back faster, and maybe we should think about the interest rate that we could have been earning on our fund balance.
Absolutely. And maybe it's better to have an offline conversation. Laura has been, the point person with you and, Isma, Laura, Alexis, to try and, have a conversation in terms of what the contract term should be, what works from the vantage point of the town, et cetera. We can finish the conversation.
So yeah, I will keep that on as a tentative. I mean, hopefully we'll get this as a resolution by the 22nd, because I believe that we've incurred these costs. If not, we're going to be incurring these costs very shortly. And before we do so, we should make sure we have a repayment agreement. So I'll put this as a top item on my to-do list.
Yeah, I don't know of that, but definitely we don't want to incur the cost before having the arrangement for payment. I mean, there's no reason to believe they won't do it, but again, we want to get the terms down in writing and again, favorable terms. So yes, so hopefully this week you can all connect and get things finalized so that Alexis can get it finalized too in the waning days.
Okay. And the next one is again for Alexis. This is a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute a license agreement for the use of basketball courts at River Road.
Correct. And so this, it's nice. A lot of the sports organizations we're seeing, they want to enter into license agreements, further in advance than we've seen in the past. So this isn't going to be a license agreement that's not going to, the term doesn't start until April of 2021, but they're anxious to enter into this agreement. We spoke about the payment terms during 2 of the Highway, Parks and Recreation Committee meetings. Essentially, they're looking to have 4 6-week terms that would be on the evenings throughout the summer. I think we're willing to charge them a little bit of a reduced hourly rate during the first 6 weeks in recognition of the fact.
Alexis, they're not in the summer, as I recall. They're sort of off cycle times, which is why we're sort of
April through Memorial Day. So April through Memorial Day, they'll be charged one rate. Then it will increase incrementally as it goes into the summer based on the demand for
well,
reports.
again, I think we talked about very much limiting that. And then again, we also talked about, in connection with this, putting together a, facilities use to sort of state, Isma can remember this. We talked about, we want to have our rates stated. And so that was something, we want to make sure we take care of that. Have the stated rates so everybody's on this level playing field. And again, we want to make sure when we do these things that we're not doing it to the detriment of our residents who obviously, pay and support these spots with their tax dollars. But of course, we are at the same time, I know, looking for additional revenue. So we just have to continue to, balance that. But in connection with this, again, we were going to make sure we have those rates stated publicly so that there's everyone is aware of what they are and everyone knows the rules, et cetera, including posting, the things you talked about, Alexis, potential cancellation and in COVID, all our insurance requirements, all that kind of stuff. And I sent you a sample link that could be used as a model on that. So I just want to let everybody know that that's also going to be part of this. It came up in connection with this discussion.
Yes, and it wouldn't be for them to use it, all day, every day. It's from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Mondays through Thursdays. From if they decide to exercise the right to renew, it would be through April through September 9th. And if they did do that, the total license fees that we would collect would be around $4,200 for those 2 hours per night throughout the summer.
Again, I didn't realize it was going. I thought we were doing off cycle. So if it's beyond that, I think we need to have that conversation. I thought it was just for the, sort of April is still chilly, so we're not really taking the basketball courts away from, folks that are going to be out there in the warm weather in summer. I don't know. We should talk further about any kind of extension that goes through the summer that would take those basketball, courts away from.
Just like the very high level. So it would be the first 6 weeks would be the $25 an hour, and then each week it raises $10 per hour. So by the end, if they're using it during the peak season, they're paying $40 an hour, which is closer to what we were paying with Dags basketball.
Yeah, that is more in line. And again, maybe we want to have some sort of out clause, to address, again, potential use by others. I don't know that we want to sign away the basketball courts for that period of that time, just in fairness to our residents.
Okay.
So,
I will send you the agreement beforehand.
Yeah. Can we talk about the fee later on?
Yes.
Have an offsite discussion, because I just want to know how we are coming up with the fee rate as we talked about it.
Yeah, we'll revisit this again offline further, but yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Great, thank you. Next one is Bill Lawrence. He wants to talk about authorization for the sale of surplus computers and monitors to bring in some money.
Sure. So this is, we do this every year. We have a rolling program where we replace computers at the rate of between 10 and 15 per year. And sometimes a few more, sometimes 20. We actually did 20 this year. And so these go to auction. We sell them at Auctions International. Most of these will go to auction. Some of them on the list are actually no longer functioning and have no resale value. So they will go to the recyclables. We recycle electronics. So that's what these are. These are primarily Dell desktop computers and laptop computers that we'll be putting up for auction.
Okay. Bring in some money. Thank you. This is all we have for Finance Committee. There was nothing referred from Public Safety. I don't think that Matt Jaddo is online yet. He has something to take care of. So we are going to skip the Public Works and we will go to Transportation, referred from Transportation.
That stuff, if you'd like me to briefly.
Sure, go ahead if you know about it.
He's looking for authorization to pay for a truck repair for one of his Mac at Albany Mac truck. Excuse me. He has is $6,770.64. It's slightly over his authorization level. He's looking for authorization to purchase materials for Becker Street Pump Station rehab from Corn, Maine for $9,139. Eventually, because of the nature of it, it's slightly over his authorization limit. I cannot speak to the proposed water and sewer rate increases, but perhaps Ismet or Councilwoman McGraw can. And the authorization to enroll a sewer plant trainee and mandatory training classes for licensing in advance. So one of his treatment operators needs to go for licensing, and the institution is encouraging Matt to enroll him early because classes are filling up because of COVID and everything is virtual. So basically, it's within his purview to spend the $1,200. Well, what we'd be in essence doing is paying in advance and then charging back each year as it comes. But in order to reserve the spot, we need to pay the $1,200 this year. But we would charge back anything for the future years within the system. It's called a prepaid item. So we would be prepaying for him to go to school and then just doing an accounting adjustment just to make sure he has the spot and can obtain his license.
And he has enough adequate funds in his budget right now, so we would rather do it this year than next year. And I just saw Matt Jaddo joining us.
He's on.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Matt, anything?
The committee supported this wholeheartedly. This is something that Matt's been working toward for a while now, making sure that his people are adequately trained.
Absolutely.
Matt, the only thing I covered was the discussion regarding your proposed water and sewer rate increases. I really couldn't speak to that.
Okay, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Ismet, do you want to speak about the rates?
Absolutely. So that is, as I said earlier, Matt really helped us with the budget issues in the water and sewer department. He came up with a very, I wouldn't say aggressive, but very fair rate increase for both water and sewer rates. That is putting the burden more on the commercials than on the residential. Residential rates are increasing only by 7 cents per 1,000 gallons. And these were included in the budget. We are asking for the public hearing for the sewer rates at the next committee meeting, but they are included in the amended and the adopted budget.
And what we're doing here really is just passing through, rates that, we're paying, right? Correct? We're just passing along some of those additional costs that the town is. Go ahead, sorry.
Right. So they are basically just to cover our costs and going forward, so we don't hit our residents and our commercial at rate, every other year, we are going to include the CPI going forward.
Because we haven't been doing that, so correct?
We did not do it in a long time, yes.
Okay,
So
good.
the water that we obtain from the city of Schenectady, that contract does have a CPI in it, but we have not implemented that on our level to our residents.
Right.
So Ismet has made the suggestion that we do so moving forward, and Matt did all the calculations and spent a great amount of time and effort trying to pull all of this together.
Right. So I'm just trying to make clear for our residents, we're just passing along those additional costs that have been passed on to us as a town.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Matt, you want to say anything about anything? I guess not.
No, you pretty much covered it. We were falling behind every year because we didn't apply a CPI, and yet we were paying it. So I think it's a very good decision to move forward with a CPI every year, just to keep from having large increases in the future.
Matt was like a finance guy crunching all the numbers, so my hat's off to you, Matt. Thank you very much for all the hours that you put in. You're welcome. Number 4 is referred from transportation, a resolution to permanently appoint a laborer in the highway department. he had is
Yeah, Ray's not here. This is a gentleman that was promoted from groundskeeper to laborer, and his probationary period is ending, and Ray has recommended, that he has completed his probation satisfactorily and recommends retention.
Janet, is this so for the highway salary schedule, so is it not just a permanently appointing, but is he going from laborer 1 to laborer 2? So it will be actually a change in salary as well?
I don't believe that that's automatic in that contract, but I will look that up.
I think I can look
It
at the
may
exact
be.
language.
I'm not sure what step the gentleman is at. I just happened to catch this the other day. And Ray was on vacation, so I just told him I would throw it on for him.
Okay, so when you give
We
me
may need a
the
resolution
form.
for that. I'll have to get back to you on that tomorrow.
Yeah, just when you send me the form, the permanent form,
Yep.
just indicate that.
okay. The next one is number 5. Don't have anything referred from the community programs. Then the next one, item 6, I'm going to ask Laura to talk about a discussion regarding the proposed fee increases, which are also a part of the adopted budget. And again, once again, my sincere thanks to Laura, Linda, and everybody in her staff for spending a lot of time with us.
Yeah, thanks, Ismat. It's really Linda. But Linda and Ismat went through the building department fees, fee by fee. And again, like compared our fees to surrounding communities. I think in many cases, our fees haven't been changed in 10 to 15 years, and they are a little low. So we are raising them, as modestly as we can to be reflective of what our work level is and what, so that we're in line with the surrounding communities. So for instance, currently on new construction, you pay like a $50 building permit flat rate for the first $1,000 and then $10 for every $1,000 over. And we would propose raising that to a $70 flat fee for the first $1,000 and then $10 for every $1,000 or over. Just small things like that are, should be helpful. Like and I think we also, not to drive businesses out of Niskuna, because we definitely need to balance, but we did look at the commercial and, tried to be a little bit kinder to the residential when we could. So like, the commercial goes from like 0.2 cents per square foot of new building to 0.31 cents per square foot. If anybody has any specific questions, we've got a little table showing what all the changes are.
And thank you, Laura. I would like to add one more thing, that the new program that we have recommended and it's in the budget and we will start at full scale is the new vacant building registry. And we base the fee upon our city of Albany. So Laura, correct me if I am wrong, but I think it's basically more burden is on the commercial and less on the residential, but basically we calculated about 15 properties, and I think there might be more, especially vacant commercial buildings. So we will talk about it this year and then start the program in full scale starting 1/1.
Yeah, that's correct.
Any questions? And I believe that we believe the whole fee schedule with the council when we're going through the budget. The next one is, and I would like to request supervisor and the council to go into executive session for a few minutes. I don't know whether we can do it now or should we do it after the board agenda meeting.
We'll make a motion at the conclusion of the agenda meeting.
Okay.
So we'll do our special town board meeting, then we'll do the agenda meeting, then I'll make a motion.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry, Ismet. Laura, were you going to speak to the Parkland issue?
Yeah, I did want to just add that quickly if I have a second. I was going to add a resolution on the floor to the agenda meeting tonight to amend resolution 2016-80. When we accepted the Canal Corps grant funding in the resolution, it just accepted, so it's a 50% matching grant. And, you can do it in kind or you can do it in cash. And I think that over time, this grant is from even, I think 2015, before I was even working here, that trying to do $150,000 of in kind just was not going to happen. So to the extent that we could, we did some in kind, but realistically, with all the awards that we've done over time, we should probably modify that resolution so that it reflects, so that Janet and I can do proper budget mods and pay some of the invoices that we actually have outstanding right now, reflects the fact that it's $150,000 of grant money and $150,000, hopefully a little bit less, but not likely, of town money to get this grant closed out. The budget actually isn't too bad. I just was double checking some of the numbers, which I can go into you guys for. But I mean, essentially the Canal Corps was a $300,000 grant, 150 from them, 150 from us. Then we have a Mohawk River water grant, which was $44,500, which was $37,825 from DEC and $6,675 from us. So the total that we were looking at with those grants was $344,500, and we have basically encumbered $346,000. There might still be COVID added some cost changes to the dock installation, and so there may actually still be just a little bit more than that. But generally speaking, we're right where we should be, but we've never actually formally acknowledged that that we have this match. And we haven't paid anything out of, I think that when we have had discussions at committee or in staff, we've discussed taking out of Parkland, partly because Rivers Ledge is paying into Parkland when they are able to start their project, and partly because it is a Parkland improvement. But we weren't sure if that requires a resolution or how that works to take the majority of that 150 out of the Parkland. So I'm throwing that out there for you guys now, and then I was just going to add it to the agenda meeting because we do have some outstanding invoices in the project.
How is it going to be paid? I'm sorry, go ahead, Bill.
Is there some urgency to this? You're trying to get this on right away. And you said
Yeah.
that this process had started many years ago.
Mhm.
And that possibly we were supposed to be doing in-kind work on these projects and that sort of thing. We've done those things before with the highway and water department doing in-kind work to get other grants. So I'm a bit, this is a large number, right? So I'm sort of trying to get a handle on this. Is there a time constraint that we have to do this immediately, or can we look at this a little bit more?
Well, you guys have awarded those contracts. Those numbers that I mentioned are awarded, and the work has essentially been done, and we have outstanding invoices on them. So to the extent that we make good on, invoices that are coming in, I wouldn't want to delay it, beyond the end of December, at least to pay the one that has been submitted to us for the docks. But I'm happy to go over all the numbers, with anybody. And I don't want to take over your executive session or anything. I need to kind of like detail by detail, but essentially Rivers Ledge is paying $80,000 into Parklands as soon as they are able, or as soon as they start as soon as we say, okay, you're far enough along, you need to pay your Parkland fees. So, I mean, that's $80,000 right off of the 150, which we already decided would obviously go to the Aqueduct Park. And then it's kind of up to you guys. Rivers Ledge is also dedicated an additional $50,000 for river park access. It's $50,000 then wouldn't go to the linear park. It would be going to the docks. But you could, I don't know if any of you guys remember, when we were doing the secret determination for what we can do to that parkland, I have those maps showing what the developer would like to do. You could take $50,000 away from that and apply it to the grant. You're really only talking about $20,000 if you so choose to do that. So it may sound alarming, but I don't think that it necessarily is.
So is it 150,000 or 20,000? And where is it going to come from?
So, I mean, this is the conversation that I had with Janet today.
Okay.
Because this grant has been ongoing for, 5 years. Like Joe Landry was like, go ahead and do it. Then we we went to go and award the contract for the bathrooms. And we were like, okay, maybe we can still do it in kind. And then we went to go ahead and award the contract for the docks. And we were like, no, we're not going to be able to do it in kind. So I think what we figured, and, you know, it's just been a change of personalities, but Paul Sebesta and everybody who was in the room said, okay, we're going to take it from here. And so then we moved forward again. But then when the invoice came in, the only thing that has ever been put in the books is the money from the Canal Corps, not the money that, you know, that the town has decided to spend over time, over the course of 5 years through different administrations and peoples. But I'm saying, like, it is $150,000 that has really essentially never been acknowledged formally. But, you know, you have $80,000 coming in from Rivers Ledge, and you have $50,000 that you can take if you wanted to. It does take away from that parkland improvement, but, you know, in budget crisis, I completely understand why you guys are going to take that. So that's $130,000 right there that you could put towards that 150. So then you're really just talking about $20,000. It's all of your decision.
And just to be clear, there is approximately $143,000 in the parkland deposit balance. However, $18,500 of that, I believe, was put in by Tiberio Construction. And there's some research I have to do on that. And I'd also like to speak with the auditors to make sure that this is something we can legitimately pay for out of the parkland fees. Before the board moves forward, I was unable to contact them today. But Ismet and I would like to make sure that, you know, this is a valid expenditure out of that line.
So you are saying, Janet, we have adequate funds there without hitting the fund balance, right?
As long as it stays under the 143 minus the 18.5. Yes, and I certainly wouldn't recommend depleting it because we're always looking for money for parkland, right? But if it comes down to, you know, 20 or 25,000, if it's allowable, I think we could adequately cover it from there. But that's a decision that the board has to make, because really, what I would have to do is move that money through a budget mod from the operating fund to a capital project to pay the bill.
Okay. Anything else? So this is this is only my third meeting. So do I ask for a motion to end the finance committee meeting?
Sorry, Isma, I don't mean to interrupt. I just have one question. Is there going to be a special finance committee meeting in advance of the January org meeting? Because I know at the January org meeting, we have some finance items that we usually go through, like the salary schedule for 2021. So I guess this is a question for Supervisor Syed.
We did last year. We don't necessarily always do a special finance committee meeting. It's usually housekeeping items for the org meeting. So we'll see. If we need one, I'll call for one, or Ismat will call for one. But if not, then we'll just have the same housekeeping items for the org meeting that we always do.
Okay. With this, do I have a motion to finish the?
So moved. So moved.
Thank you.
I will second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
We'll see you all at 7.
Great.
Absolutely.
Good meeting, Ismet. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm still learning.
It was excellent. All right, I'll see you in a minute on our next one.
Okay. Bye.